Hi, Mish. I'm still not at home. I've been working from a co-working space. Yeah, finally here.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to meet you. I've been looking forward to this as well. So yeah, I'm really excited. And especially since Sylvia and I talked about how you can get me out to Nairobi so that I can do a little work for y'all and then at the same time have some fun and go on a safari. So
Yeah,
Oh, Nairobi is very beautiful and
yeah,
quite
very
lovely.
yeah.
beautiful.
And I say I,
Nixon,
by the way,
Nix-
my
Nixon is gonna be our designated driver. He was my designated
uh,
driver for today, so you'll be in safe hands. And
and by the way, I want to
I'm
mention
gonna be your tour guide,
you're going to be my tour guide, my
uh-huh,
docent.
free
Yeah,
of
I'd,
charge.
I'd, I'd be willing and able to do that for you.
That would be fun. And also my husband, by the way, Sylvia, who
Mm-hmm.
I think you just froze back. Okay. Um, he's the one who started Market Gauge, and we met on the Kamai's Exchange. So he also could be a speaker and a
Yeah.
teacher. He comes from a little bit of a different way. I tend to be like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah," and he is much more professorial. He speaks slowly, and me, it's like. So it's a good combination.
Yeah, sure thing. You can ask him if he'd like to be on our trading podcast, and we can have him on the lounge as well.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
his
you
name is
guys
Keith.
had like an office romance, and you started your family together after being on the floor of the exchange.
That's right. We met on the floor. We got married in 1990. In fact, in a few weeks, our 35th wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we've been in business together, and it's been, it's not easy for a couple to be with
Mhm.
each other pretty much 24/7. We are,
Yeah.
but we do it pretty well. So.
All right. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start because now it's 8 p.m. on the dot. If this time lapse elapses 5 minutes before it elapses, I'm gonna send a new link because I'm sure we might be on for like an hour and 15 minutes thereabout. So I'm gonna on the chat section, I'm gonna send a new link. But because we started early, I think it will still be running. So yeah, so guys,
Oh,
I'm gonna start out by reading Mish's bio, which I had done. But Mish, I think we can all save ourselves some time and just go straight into it because I'm gonna upload that separately. Maybe you can tell us, you are an author, you're a trader, you're a speaker, you're a writer, you're a trader, and you have a team of people who work under you. Those are like six hats under one person. You're also a wife, a grandma, a human being. How did you transition, first of all, from special education to now trading? And you're going to tell us the role that education actually plays because with trading, we say the learning never ends, and we're all on a learning curve, and we're happy to have you educate us tonight. And yeah, and it's an
well,
honor to have you on first time on our trading lounge. Yeah, so we love stories and take it
okay. I will
away.
tell you a story, but first I want to thank you. It's an honor for me to be here, and at this point of my career, which has been very long, um, I feel that my legacy is in how many people I can reach and touch and teach so that they become more successful in their life. Because I started out very different than where I'm at right now. My dad was a mailman, a postal carrier in New York, and we did not have any real money. We had a basically two-room apartment, and when I was born, which was right away after my parents got married, they weren't quite ready to have a child, let alone a child as precocious as I wound up to be. So they always told me as I was growing up, because I excelled in school, that I should become a school teacher. Because at that time, that's all women were expected to be, right? Assistants to doctors, nurses, assistants to lawyers, paralegals. and assistants and not professors on a college level, teacher of elementary school kids. I mean, that was what their aspirations were for me. And so I was a good girl. I did exactly what I was told. By the time I was 20, I became a teacher. I got a degree in special education because I was more interested in atypical learning as opposed to typical learning. And I got married and I lived. And one by one, I realized that I was living their life, not my life, right? I started to get a little bit of a clue of what the outside world, I was very sheltered, by the way. That's the other thing is my father was a very dominating person in my life, and he kept me protected. So as I started to get outside the little nest that he wanted me to stay in, I started realizing, wait a minute, I don't want to live near my parents anymore. And I don't want to be married to this guy who I was married to because I was an athlete. I met him playing basketball. And he said, do you want to get married? And I'm like, sure. I mean, it was like that much, right? So now I realize I wasn't in love with him. I didn't want to be, I was living in one of the boroughs of New York City. I was living in Queens. I wanted to live in Manhattan. And so I made the exodus, but I was still teaching. And I was living in this apartment in Manhattan, and one day there's a knock on my door. I mean, if you believe in fate, I surely do. Knock on my door, there's this girl, and the Yankees, about the New York Yankees baseball team, I don't know if you know about American baseball, but they were playing in the World Series, and she wanted to know if she was having a party. She wanted to know if I wanted to come up. And that started a friendship. And she worked on the commodities exchange in the World Trade Center for Merrill Lynch, big brokerage firm. She was working as a clerk. She said, how would you like to come? And I was broke as a teacher, I have to tell you. They were only paying teachers very minimal salaries back then, and especially in special education. They were making even less. So I didn't have a lot of money, and I certainly couldn't count on my parents. So I went down to the floor with her, and my eyes popped out of my head. I was like, oh my God. This is it. This is it. This is what I was born to do. And it wasn't so easy. Interestingly enough, Sylvia, the blockage wasn't that I was a woman, even though there were very few. It was that I was a teacher. People were saying, oh, if you're a teacher, what do you know about finance? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I could learn. I'll learn. Just put me down there. I'll do anything. And I finally got a job for Continental Grain. They had a futures company called Conti Commodities. And they put me down in coffee, sugar, cocoa futures in 1979. Yes, I was just a child, basically. I was in my young 20s. And it went from there. I mean, I spent 14 years on the floor. I had the best time. I learned everything there is to know about following momentum, leaving something when it's dead, understanding order flow, understanding trading risk, understanding when to take profits, understanding that nothing lasts forever, understanding just, how to socialize with all kinds of people, mostly men. I had my finger on the pulse of the world all of a sudden. I knew what was going on everywhere in the world that impacted gold, silver, oil, food commodities, financial commodities. And in 14 years, I went from, a poor girl from Queens to a very successful worldly woman. But that wasn't enough for me. I went back into education. I left the floor to try to have a child because it was very stressful standing on my feet all day. So I left and I went back into education and I became a consultant. Abilities, and I was trying to get them into the general education environment, not the kids in the special ed who have a separate room with the paraprofessional, take a separate bus, and they have no experience with typical kids. I tried to change all of that.
All right.
Yeah, and in doing that, I learned how to modify very complicated curriculum so that a kid with Down syndrome could be in a regular biology class but still understand the parts of a cell, only maybe not necessarily at the same degree as another child. Didn't matter. From a social standpoint, they got to be in the same class. So anyway, we wound up moving to Santa Fe. This was all in New York. We wound up moving to Santa Fe. I got married in the meantime to Keith Schneider. I met him on the floor. We got married in 1990. We came out to Santa Fe in 2000. I'm into his company called Market Gauge. And I was able now to combine everything that I had been doing, modifying the stock market curriculum so that anybody could access it, plus trade, plus teach. And yeah, and so that's kind of like where I've been for the last 20 years. And in that time, I got a pretty good reputation. I'm on media all the time. I go on Fox and CNBC and Yahoo Finance and Schwab. I do things like this with you guys today. I just came off of Real Vision before I did this today. I'm pretty much all over the place. And I love it because we raised a niece. I never was able to have my own children, so we raised a niece. She became a lawyer. She has zero interest in finance. So you all become my legacy, so to speak, in trying to help as many people as I can not make mistakes, because people make a lot of mistakes and they follow people that they shouldn't.
Good. And you're very modest, I must say. You haven't mentioned any accolades that you have acquired in the last pre-COVID period. And you have, I mean, when people go through your bio,
I don't know if it's my internet or your internet, but you froze, Sylvia.
Can you hear me?
You're totally frozen.
Okay, let me just activate this. Okay, so I'm saying, if you can hear me, you haven't mentioned any accolades that you've gotten in the last few years pre-COVID, which is a humility trait that I see in most successful traders. And when we go through your trading bio, people will understand the kind of caliber of the guest that we have on tonight. Maybe you can tell us, as a woman starting on the floor of the, back in the days when the internet wasn't like decentralized for people like you and I to access the markets. How has that journey been to the point where now you joined Keith Schneider? I don't know if that's how you say it. Your husband, to now work at Market Gauge. You started doing also this thing where you call Market Minute, and you also have a blog where you publish your sort of like your stock picks and the trades that you're calling out for that particular week. Maybe talk a little bit about that, then we can go into the live trading session.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily need to repeat my accolades. You can go to my bio and see, but yes, I've been very fortunate to be recognized a best educator from Traders Summit in 2023, best stock educator, Real Vision. I won the award for the best stock pick of the year. A couple of years ago, I was considered one of the best top 50 people to follow for financial tweeting advice. This is when it was still called Twitter, before X. I've written a book that won awards as one of the best all-around investment books called Plant Your Money Tree, A Guide to Growing Your Wealth. And on the floor, I think one of the best accolades I ever got was after 1 year of being down there, they said that I was rookie of the year because I learned so much in that. Told me that I was a gentleman, which some women might consider to be insulting. I thought that was a fabulous compliment because it was of them. Because of my physical differences, not being able to compete in the pit. And if people don't understand what the pit is, the best way to see what the pit is either watch the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, because the end of that takes place exactly where I worked. And that's what it was like, even modeled after the Koch brothers, by the way, by cornering the orange juice futures. That's the best way to learn to where I work. But anyway, those type of awards, they just happen to come naturally as a part of the fact that I've just been alive for so long. The same person I was when I started this business over 40 years ago, you know, always wanting to learn and always wanting to share.
All right. Maybe also touch on the role of risk management in our industry, because you tend to find like we have betting companies, we have all types of institutions in our industry, we have brokerage firms, we have, like today we were being told the difference between a dealing and a non-dealing desk. Maybe from your experience, decades on, what is the role of risk management in trading? And then guys, I'm sending you a new link to which we will move in like 8 minutes thereabout.
Okay, let me just move my screen over so I can see the link when you put it
Yeah,
there.
I'll post it on the chat section.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, so I cut my teeth on the commodities exchange. And one thing about commodities is they're not stocks. You're not buying a company that may or may not grow. You're buying a raw material, which for whatever reasons might get impacted and have a run, a bullish run. You know, and let's look at some of those reasons: supply, demand, geopolitics, Mother Nature. You know, they're highly speculative. So when you're speculating, like the way you would do with futures, if you don't understand risk management, and I saw a lot of guys be carried out literally from the floor, losing all their money. So what I had to learn right from the get-go was, and I borrowed, by the way, money to get started. Remember, I had none. I was a teacher. So I borrowed $2,000 from somebody on the floor as a way to start. So right from the beginning, I learned I can't lose this $2,000. Got to pay this guy back. What you learn on the floor is that if you take a position, whether it's a day trade position, a mini swing position, something you might carry till the end of the day or the next day, or a real longer term position, you have to know where you're wrong. I never go into a trade until I first determine where I'm wrong. That's what risk management is all about. And there are formulas for determining that. And so one of the things, and I know Sylvia and I talked about doing this more formally at another time where I can show slides and can really talk about it, but I look at the average range of whatever that instrument is. And so my risk would be double of whatever that average range is, generally speaking. So for example, if something trades about $1 a day and I want to enter, I won't risk more than about $2 on that trade. The best situation, and this is what my book is about, is to do that trade when it's emerging out of a new phase, crossing a moving average. That's my favorite trade. So if something's been bearish, 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 trading under a 50-day moving average for a long time and starts to move above it, that's when I get interested. Where am I wrong? If it fails that 50-day moving average. So worst case is I lose a little money. Best case is that I'm starting a position in something that is going to continue to go up for a long time. Difference between commodities, again, and stocks is commodities will run their course, right? They always run their course. You know, the rain comes, so solves the drought problem. Supply chain gets fixed. Geopolitics resolved. I mean, we just saw this with oil. Oil went crazy because of the Middle East, the situation with Israel and Iran. They signed a truce, oil went back down. That's the nature. You're buying a company, you might be able to afford to sit with it depending on where you get in, short term or for a very long time, but you still need to have risk management.
All right, all right. Now, I think what we can do, we can try and ask a few questions from the trading community. And then now when we switch to the new link, which I have sent, we will do a live practical, session. You also mentioned that you have a book called How to Swing Trade for Profits. Maybe to the new traders, we call them newbies in our classes. What is swing trading and how do you execute your buy and sell orders. I understand you trade a variety of different asset classes. You did mention food commodities, financial commodities. Also important to your strategy, you did mention order flow when we were starting out. I hope I got that right. So, and maybe futures as well. And also maybe touch on Forex, because we started out being known for Forex, but over the time we expanded our niche to even equities, indices, commodities, all the nice indices as well, technology stocks on NASDAQ, and even the S&P 500 index.
Right. All right. Now, should I be clicking this link right now?
No. We still have like 5 minutes.
Okay, so you'll let me know.
Yeah.
So do you want me to share the screen, even though we're going to have to stop and then?
Yeah, because you see, that was a question I got from the trading community. So we can answer that first, and then we'll move on. In like 4 minutes, we'll move on to the new link.
Can you tell me what the actual question was? Because you said a lot of words.
Oh, okay. So you trade a vast or diverse asset classes, right? So when it comes to your swing trading approach, what is swing trading and what is order flow to the layman, basically?
Okay, all right. So swing trading would be a position that you hold anywhere from 3 days to months to years. That's what a swing trade is. And in order to be a successful lifelong execution of that trade, to be with the lowest risk possible. And that, like I said, even if you're buying a company stock, you know that we can have massive corrections. We just had one in April, and some stocks went down 60%. I never want to sit through a 60% loss. I got out of most things when I could see they were breaking down, and then I would buy them again. So the swing trading assumes a certain level of active trading. You can decide how active that could be. It could be second to second. There are people who do that. With Forex trading, that's a very active situation for the most part. Or you could decide, you know what? I want to follow the ebbs and flows of the market. I don't want to be there when it ebbs, but I definitely want to be there when it flows. And then in terms of order flow, what you're really describing is something we learned on the floor called momentum. You want to understand that the momentum is increasing or the momentum is declining, and you want to understand how that momentum compares to the price action. Because you could see a stock or a commodity going up, but the momentum is starting to die. That tells you not to chase. So if we go to the charts, when we go to the new screen, it will be easier for me to show you that with some real charts of trades that we and the only other thing I think we should cover is something that of my invention called the economic modern family. Now it's a US-centric world that I've encountered trade the US markets primarily and not their own particular market, unless of course they're looking at Forex or commodities that are more global. So that's kind of where I'd like to go as we go switch screens here. Is that good?
Yeah, that answers the question. So order flow, basically momentum on the floor.
Momentum. Yeah, let's call it momentum. Because we see on the floor, I could see order flow. I knew that the clerks were on the phones and they were jumping off their seats and they were flying into the pits and they were giving paper to their brokers. I can't see that now. None of us can see that. The floor doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. It's all electronic. So how do you know? You know through momentum indicators and through volume.
All right. Now let's hop on to the second call. You can just click on this. It's gonna start at 8:30, but I'll start it immediately. So we can click on this new link and then we will go dive right into your live trading chart example. So let me go there and give you access to share screen. I gotta end this first.
So I'm gonna click there now myself.
Yeah, let me end this first.
Let me click it before it disappears. Okay.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah. All right. So I'm giving everybody a chance to click on that. Then I can start the new meeting.
glasses on so I can see.
Okay. So something else we will do, we will upload this on our YouTube channel. So we have like 2K subscribers on YouTube. So they're gonna watch your live trading setups as well. So super.
Okay, well, before I get into the live trading, I want to talk a little bit about, because my process is basically top down. I'll look at my modern family and the indices. I look at certain instruments. Then I look at the moving averages in the phase. And then exactly what I mentioned before, I make my decision on an execution based on what I see as the risk, what I see as the momentum, and how the instrument is performing versus the Yeah, let me know when you want me to start.
Yeah, you can actually start now. We can see your stock charts. So
Okay, so basically, this is the Russell 2000. But before we look at the Russell 2000, let's take a look at where all the fun has been since those April lows when tariff announcement happened, and that is the NASDAQ, right? So this is the NASDAQ chart. Now, what I want to show you, we're going to blow this out a little bit here. These are candlesticks. We're not going to get into that because that could be a whole hour right there on the meaning of candlesticks. But what I do want to point your attention to is the blue line. That's the 50 simple day moving average. The green that has some curves to it, that's the simple 200-day moving average. This red horizontal line and this green horizontal line are calendar ranges. I'll mention those briefly. And then obviously this is the price action. And if we look down here, this is how an instrument is doing versus the S&P 500. As you can see right now, NASDAQ is actually underperforming. And if you look here, this is our order flow. This is our momentum indicator. We use the same moving averages, the 50 and the 200. So what I'll look at, and we're looking at NASDAQ here because NASDAQ made a new, that is NASDAQ. And what we want to look at with NASDAQ is, A, can it keep growing and pulling us out of the doldrums? Is it getting ready for a correction because the other instruments aren't necessarily following? Or are the other instruments just sort of playing along, which is enough reason for NASDAQ to keep going? You know, because everybody knows AI and quantum computing and robotics and space industry, all of this is the future. But just because something is the future doesn't necessarily mean that getting in now makes sense if there's no risk. So looking at this NASDAQ chart, you could see we're far from what I would consider a calendar breakout, which means the range that was set in January, we're above that now, but we're far. We're far from the 50. This is where a swing trader would say, what kind of trade, if I'm interested in buying this still up here, what would my risk be? This is the thing that kills most people from being a trader for as long as I have, is because they haven't determined their risk, which of course determines their time frame of the trade. If I were a day trader, I might say, oh, well, I'm interested in buying this trade over the high of 557.63, but I don't want to risk much more than the low of this day at 533. I'm okay with risking $4 or $5 when you're looking at something that's trading over 500. But what I would not be okay doing is, you know, hey, I'm going to buy this here. And if it corrects all the way down to here, I'm going to stick with it because I know it's going to continue to go up. That's what a lot of people make the mistake of. They call it even, oh, we're do not buy a falling knife. Okay. So if you got in and you were even a quicker trader, and let's say it took out that high of 537, let's just call it 538 to round off, and you don't get a movement right away, you could even get out before the risk and say, I'm not getting the momentum. Because look at the momentum here. It's good, But even as this is making new all-time highs, the momentum isn't making new all-time highs. That's not what you want to see. You want to see the momentum and the price in sync. Otherwise, like I said, you could still trade this at all-time highs, but you better get out right away if you see it's not following through. Okay? I just wanted to start there because that's what NASDAQ looks like. Now, and of course, NVIDIA and all of that would be in there. If we go to one of the members of my family would be semiconductors. Now, if you look at semiconductors, this is where NVIDIA lives, right? It's one of the big holdings in the semiconductor basket, ETF SMH. I call her sister semiconductors, by the way. And on top of that, lately I call her Wonder Woman because she's been kind of a superhero, right? So here we are. Today we actually made a new all-time high. So again, if you would have bought on the same basis that I just mentioned to you after this couple of days of consolidation, you're making a little bit of money, but you have to decide. So risk, do I want to turn a winner into a loser? No. At what point do I want to take a profit? Well, I don't want to take a profit too soon. That's what most people make that mistake, by the way, is they hold their losers way too long and they get out of their winners way too fast. So in this case, if let's say you bought semiconductors because you saw NVIDIA yesterday became a $4 trillion company, right now you're making some money, but I would not necessarily say you get out. It could go higher, but what you would do now is you would go no loss stop. If it goes back to where I got in, I'm gone. That's it. The other key to this business is to never emotionally attack. And money doesn't give a hoot about who you are. It flows in, it flows out. It's a currency. And as a currency, the last thing you want to do is block it by having mental noise, right? And so it's important, A, not to attach, B, to not be emotional, and C, to have a strategy that you follow, which is what I'm all about. And I'm not going to be able to teach you all of that today, but we will get strategy and a methodology that I've been using successfully for a long, long time. So you're getting a hint of it now. To me, where would semiconductors have been a buy? Well, look at the momentum here. Now, momentum is actually doing as well as the price. So that's why I'm saying Qs look a little iffy. Semiconductors still look good, but you still have to be careful. For me, my style is after this thing had been beat up and we had that April low, that 50-day moving average, look what happened in momentum. Down here, this is the momentum indicator. If you follow my cursor down here where it's popping up and down, once this took out the 50-day moving average in momentum, what did it tell me? The worst was over. When it cleared the 50-day moving average, look at this opportunity I had to buy where the risk was so low. If it broke down under the 50, I'd be wrong. Then we had a little bit of consolidation. Then we had a move over the January calendar range, and look where we are now. That's what I'm talking about. Being patient. Fear of missing out with a methodology will make you a ton of money. Okay, so that's what helps me decide what to buy. As I mentioned, my economic modern family, and if you go to my website at some point, oops, sorry, I've got to keep my glasses on or I can't see my keyboard. Okay.
It's just catching
I
up.
still couldn't see my keyboard. All right, what's going on here? Come on.
Michelle.
I'm trying to put, okay, this is the Russell 2000. Sylvia, did you want to say something?
No, I was just telling you, like, age is catching up with your eyesight.
Absolutely. That was so 30 years ago when I started having to wear reading glasses. Yeah. So that happens in your 40s, my dear. You're still young, but
yeah, thank you for that.
So anyway, looking at this, The Russells are really extremely important to me, more than NASDAQ and more than the S&P 500. And the reason is because these are the small caps. These are companies that exist within the United States. And those of you who have been following the Trump policies, the big, beautiful bill, the tariffs, the desire to keep the dollar kind of low, the desire to get the interest rates lower while they're still pretty high. All of this was with the mindset of bringing industry back to the United States, because we've been a country that has exported a lot of things and imported imported a lot of things. I said that backwards. Imported a lot of things and exported not as much. That's called the trade deficit, right? They measure how much you export versus how much you import. I would imagine in a country like Kenya, your trade deficit is similar in that you probably import a lot of things
For
and
sure.
export. Yeah, exactly. So
From
in order to
China.
keep you from China, right? China is all over the place. Exactly. So in order for the Kenyan economy to do better, you kind of want to flip that a little bit, and you want to know how much you can actually do within your country so that you import less and produce something that is exported out. Raw materials, I would imagine. What is probably the biggest raw material in Kenya?
So coffee and tea,
What do you
like we have
produce
the
there?
best tea in the global market. Coffee, tea, and flowers.
Okay. So flour would be considered what? Wheat or corn, right?
No,
What do you make the
flowers
flour
like
from? Is it a wheat flour, a corn flour?
roses, like flowers, like roses
Oh,
for,
flowers.
yeah,
Oh, botanical.
yeah,
Got it. I'm sorry. Okay, well, let's leave that out because there's, that we're not trading flowers.
yeah.
There was a tulip mania back in the day. If anybody wants interested to see what it looks like when people all pile into something at the same time for no good reason other than the fact that they're fear missing out, check out the tulip mania that happened with the Dutch, several hundred years ago. That's a story that most commodities traders will tell you about. But anyway, so let's focus on coffee. Coffee is something that you export, but so does Brazil, so do a couple of other countries, Thailand. So essentially, that is something that, in the United States, we have the advantage of being able to export a lot of things. But because things have gotten so much cheaper to have them made in China, we've become dependent in China. Okay. And this is a very long way of what Trump is trying to change. Whether he's successful at it or not is irrelevant to me. The only thing that's irrelevant to me right now as a trader, I'm speaking as a trader, not as a human, right? As a trader is if it's going to be successful, the small caps, which has a lot of industry that is in the United States, starts to do well. And look what's happening. It's not at all-time highs. That happened back here in 2024. NASDAQ just made new all-time highs, but it's getting stronger. So if anybody is questioning whether or not Trump's policies could potentially work and actually help America become America first, whether it pisses off the global world or not, just looking at it again, not from politics, which, by the way, never trade with your politics because that will kill you, but trade as a logical trader, this is telling me could be working. That's the grandfather of my economic modern family. The grandmother of my economic family is what I call granny retail, okay? Retail is the consumer, what they're buying, their spending habits, number one. And number two, for the U.S., buying the goods that you're making in your country, let alone from other countries, your economy is going to sputter because it's a big part of the gross domestic product. In the United States, it's 70%. Now, in 2021, look at this. In 2021, the consumer sector, the retail, made an all-time high at 104.31. Why am I mentioning this? Because this was during COVID, when people in the United States were getting stimulus checks. They were getting free money from the government because of COVID, because they couldn't go to work. And so it was a great gift. It cost the United States a lot of money and it created this massive debt, but nonetheless, the consumers were happy, right? So now look at it at 104. Look at it where it is right now. Right now, it's just barely trying to get up to 82. So it's still 25% away from the all-time high, which tells me the growth sector is doing great, but the consumer is inching up. Today was good action, but still not fully convinced that we're not going to have inflation, that the rates are going to go lower, that Trump isn't making a massive mistakes with tariffs. Nobody knows. Nobody really knows. Getting a little more optimistic, but still not in the game. So I need to know this backdrop in my mind before I start trading, because is going to impact my risk. And again, I'm giving you a lot of information in a short period of time. The next member of the family that's important to understand is transportation. I'm not going to go through the whole family today. We could do that another time. But look what transportation did today, right? So what is transportation? It's the rail, it's planes, it's freight deliveries. Maybe eventually it'll be drone, but we're not quite there yet. Rocketry, we're not quite there yet. Believe it or not, Uber. Do you have Uber?
Yeah, we do have Uber and Bolt, and then we have another new one called Wigo.
Oh, okay. Well, right. Uber is right now carrying a lot of the weight in getting transportation up. Uber's working on, robo taxis and all kinds of things. They're really and delivering more than just people from one destination to another, delivering food. They're even talking about delivering cannabis where it's legal. So it's not legal everywhere in the United States. But nonetheless, what is encouraging is this made its all-time high in 2024, just like the Russell 2000 did. This really measures, I like to say, trains, planes, and automobiles, how things are moving. Helps you understand if the consumer is buying, traveling, that sort of thing. And right now, we're still kind of far. That all-time high here let's go back to it, was 75.59. Today's high was 70. Transportation is the closest right now to taking out the all-time high. So what does this tell me? This tells me that everything right now is promising. So maybe I don't want to chase growth. Maybe I do. Again, I might just change my time frame parameter because it can always roll over. But it definitely tells me that opportunity is merging in the U.S. economy, regardless of what the analysts, the politicians, the media heads, whatever it is, whatever they're saying, right now things look pretty good for the U.S. after kind of a rough start the first half of the year.
All right.
So
I think, yeah.
Go ahead.
Very understood. At least we've understood your trading rationale. And then, so I wanted Nixon to take the 3 questions from the trading community, and then we will finalize with a crypto and a Forex chat.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nixon, please unmute yourself, Nick, and shoot the questions from the trading community. So I have a question here that I got from a member who was asking, what can people expect from your book, How to Swing Trade for Profits?
Okay, that's not my book. And, you can put the link in the box if you want, but if you want to buy it, you go to marketgauge.com/book. That is about swing trading, by the way. You're calling it a different title. It's the same content. It's just a different title. So people don't get confused, but it's Plant Your Money Trade. And essentially what that talk to you about, it covers it particularly about phases in the moving averages, which again would be a great lesson to do another time, but we can't really do it now. But it's essentially kind of what I showed you there was where I would like to get in when something has been going above the moving averages, get out when it goes below the moving averages, maybe even go short when it breaks down, and then buying it again when it goes through that moving average, adding when it goes through the second. That's really, really, really fast to tell you about that. This now is well in play. And then, of course, it tells you a little bit about the momentum here, which you can see in transportation is picking up. I just wanted to really answer the question, not just of my process, but is this a good time to still get involved in the market? That's why I really, because people keep asking that question. What do you think? So now let's go to your other question. Go ahead.
Actually, answer that question. Is it a good time to be a trader, a speculator at this present moment?
It's always a good time to be a trader and a speculator, because the one thing that I love, see, remember I told you in the very beginning, in education, I was all about inclusion, which means I wanted kids who basically are left at home to be with their family and their professionals, paid professionals, isolated from the real world. I wanted them to be able to participate with the real world. It's the same thing with the market. Anybody, no matter where you're from, what you do, your sociocultural situation, whatever it is, it's an equal opportunity, a true equal opportunity, the only real, true equal opportunity for anybody to get involved and make money. That's why Bitcoin has become so successful, because people thought, hey, I could do that. I don't even need to know anything. People are buying Bitcoin. I'll buy Bitcoin. This is the same thing with the stock market. So is there a time? There's never the right time. It's always the right time. The key is to know where to look and how and what your methodology is. And then from there, you can do anything.
All right. So I think now it's the time for Q&A. Mish, I think you are right on. You're very elaborate in terms of your explanations, which is a gift that you have actually. So I'll give Nixon this time to ask a few questions from our trading community.
And we talked about before the show started, you can ask me specific stocks, you can ask me about cryptocurrency, you can ask me about Forex, whatever you want. I do it all, because it really all comes down to the same thing, the chart and the methodology. Doesn't matter what it is. I'll trade anything.
Yeah. So Nixon, take it away.
So let me just ask, how much have you made from Forex trading, if I may ask?
How much have I from Forex trading?
Yeah.
Trading currency itself?
Yes.
Well, actually, I went short the dollar and long the Swiss franc last year. I'm not that big a currency trader. I use currency as an information tool to let me know whether or not commodities are going to go up or down, whether the stock market is going to react, how much consumer purchasing power is. But I did do something really intelligent last year. I bought FXF, which is the ETF for the Swiss franc against the dollar. And I bought that at 96. And right now, if you look at it today, it's trading at about 115. That has been a swing trade. How much I made in terms of dollars is not important. In terms of percentages, it's up about 30, 40%.
Wow.
Now, if you want to know what's the most money I've ever made percentage-wise in any instrument, I would have to say that's probably gold, because I bought gold at 1,500 and I still have a little piece of it, and gold is trading over 3,200 right now. So that's a double. That's over 100%. That can be.
That's pretty impressive. Nick, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Oops, sorry. The other question is, do you have social media pages where we can follow you and just, when we need inspiration, just to see what you're doing and just catch up with, what you're up to?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. So yeah, first of all, I'm on X and my handle is Market Minute. You can also find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram, but mostly I'm on X. That's my community, and I'm very, very good at answering questions. But the latest thing that it's so exciting to tell you about is I joined this company called Slice, S-L-I-C-E. hyphen app.io. And that's where I'm now actually going as a mentor. They vet their people. So it's not like Twitter where anybody can say anything. There's no barrier to entry. This is vetted by the guy who runs the company. He's a young 27-year-old who lives in France named Thomas. And he vets who he invites on. And then you pay a small monthly fee and you get trades every month. So you'll get my trade. So if you were in it right now, you would know that I bought oil a week ago. I bought a company called Stitch Fix this week, which is already up about 10%. So that's, if you wanted to spend a little money and know my trades, that's where you go. If you just want to talk to me, see my blog, hear what I'm thinking, my comments on the macro, etc., then Twitter would do it, or X as they call it
Yeah,
now.
so another question is, oh, thank you so much for that. And I hope the rest of the guys, they've gotten that. So the question is, since now you've been trading for a long time and you spoke about having kids and grandkids, is it something is it a skill you've passed down to them and them, can they trade by themselves?
Well, the grandkids, my eldest, who is 10, when he was 4, he would sit on my lap while I was working and trading, and he was very, very interested at that point in understanding the charts. He loved it, like a 4-year-old, because right now this generation, of course, is all about looking at phones and iPads, tablets, what have you. When he turned 10, I opened up an account for him and told him I wanted him to learn how to trade Bitcoin. But so I think that he will probably be the one that will follow in kind to me and both my husband and become maybe not a trader for a living, but he will learn to speculate. But right now he's a typical 10-year-old. He's more interested in being with his friends. So we'll see what happens when he gets a little bit older.
Yeah.
Preteen is
So
an active stage. So
oh yeah, I mean he plays basketball, he plays soccer, he plays the saxophone. That I'm really excited about. That he loves music, and yeah, when I'll get him in a few years back, and I told him to buy Bitcoin, but he said, "What's that?"
yeah. So the last question is, you've said that the markets are the equalizer. Like, it doesn't know your background, it doesn't know what you've done. It's literally, it equalizes everyone. So what's your contribution, to the, let me say, to the globe, to make sure that, everyone is learning the skill, and also that, they take advantage of the opportunity that the markets do. Do you have like a place maybe where they can go study, like learn to, I don't know, you let me know.
Well, I recorded a 6-week course. Really, basically, it's everything from, it's everything from the beginning to an active trading room showing you how to make trades. It's called Mish's Ultimate Trading Program, MUTP is what we call it. And that is something that people can buy, and they have lifetime, and then they get part of our system. And so in other words, they get mentored by me once a month, and they get to follow Jeff, who is the president, and he does mentoring sessions and he does weekly coaching. So essentially you get the course, and then you get into our family. And that, I would say, is probably the best for somebody who's a complete novice and wants to understand the entire world of everything I just talked about from the market gauge perspective. As far as my own personal contribution, I go on media a lot, as I mentioned before. I give a lot of trades away. I also, like I just said before, I did Real Vision before this. And what I talk about is how I see future trends. I'm very good at that. Maybe it's because I'm a woman. I have an instinct and an intuition based on watching what people spend their money on, what's important to people, what's important to my kids, all of that. I take all of that into consideration. And so if you just kind of go to my media page and watch some of my clips and interviews, you'll learn a lot too about how I think. And that might help you figure out what to trade.
Okay. Then the books, your,
And the
your
book.
book, yeah. Do you ship to Kenya?
Plant Your Money Tree, A Guide to Grow Your Wealth. You can get that on the Market Gauge site. I think you can go to Amazon too, but you can
Yeah.
go right to marketgauge.com/book and you'll get it.
Okay.
Is
Yeah.
there a free version on Kindle on Amazon?
There is a what do you call it? Audiobook. And I think the audiobook doesn't cost anything. I'm not 100% sure. The only disadvantage of the audiobook is A, it's not my voice. It's some person that was hired to do it. And B is you don't get to see the charts. You only can listen to it. So it's not a big investment to buy the book. It's under $20 US. Maybe it's $13 US. Maybe it's even cheaper now. I'm not even sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Nixon was asking if they can ship it to Nairobi if we buy it from Amazon.
Yes, probably, right? Do you have Amazon
Yeah,
there?
we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have like DHL and other institutional companies that actually do shipping.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So now I think because of time, we'll have you again where we'll exclusively do Forex and crypto. And we will touch a little bit more on your formal presentation. For now, the last question from me would be, would you be interested in our financial literacy tours? We would welcome you to Nairobi, have our sponsor broker pay for your airfare, accommodation in a good 5-star hotel. We do like a 3-day workshop and a seminar on a Saturday for our trading community. And then the last day we go to the national park. Is that something that you and your husband would be looking to do, so we can plug you in those plans as soon as we can?
I'm already packing my bag. Yes, I'm already thinking about that. Absolutely.
All right, all right. So now I would like to give credit to a few members who have joined us today. So we have Nabin, we have of course Nixon, we have Joseph, we have Cecilia, and I would like them to have a special moment to ask anything to our guest speakers. So guys, you can unmute yourselves, and there's no right or wrong question. We're all on a learning curve. This is the opportunity to interact directly with Mish. And it's the first time we're hosting her, so kindly unmute yourself. Cecilia is also part of our, I would say like a training cohort. We've had her before on our trading lounge as well. So Cecilia, if you have a question, you can shoot it to Mish. And yeah, Mish, you can tell us, how did you find our trading room? Is it active? Our trading lounge, sorry. We loved your presentation. We will share this with your people and our people, and we'd love to host you again in the future.
I would love that. And please don't be shy. Ask me any questions, Cecilia. If you have a question, I'd be happy to answer it.
Hi, Mish. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I wanted to ask Mish, when did you start trading? I was a bit late, like with 10 minutes. When did you start trading, and how long would you continue trading? Like, is this something you love to the extent you want to do it forever? And the third question is, have you had times during your trading career where you wanted to give up or just call it quits? Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's like 4 questions. All right. So let's start with started trading right at the turn from 1979 to 1980. It was an incredible time to learn how to trade because that was when hyperinflation set in. That's when gold screamed to new highs, and silver and sugar. All the commodities were doing really well, and the stock market was still at that point kind of just lumping around. It had been in a range for 15 years. So that's when I got started. That's how I learned how to trade. Then number 2, your second question is, do I plan to do this for my entire life? Well, when I started in 1980, I was very young and I had a lot of energy. I still have a lot of energy, but I had a lot more energy back then. And I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, which is teaching. I was just focusing on making money. So I was an active trader. I would be in and out of trades all day long. So if I bought, let's say, silver at 37.20, I might sell it at 37.25 and then get back in and out, in and out. Now at this age, do I want to do this for the rest of my life? Absolutely. only now I do it in a much different way. I think about what I want to do. I get in when I think that the risk is the least amount. And instead of looking to take profit, what I do is I keep raising my stop parameter so that I'm still in the trade. If I get a big mid move, I may take some money off, but I'm looking at it more as an investing, more of a longer term swing position. So if I continue to do that, I can do this until I die, basically. Just to give you, my mom is 92 years old.
Wow.
And on April 7th, she said to me, Mish, I think you should buy Bitcoin and NVIDIA. And that was the absolute low print day. At that point, NVIDIA was trading 86. Now it was up at like 165. And Bitcoin was trading at 76,000. It's now trading at around 112,000. So that goes to show you, you're never too old, right? The only thing you have to do is pace yourself at that point. And then there are times where I've said, I'm sick of this and given it up. I take breaks. Absolutely. You need to. You need to take mental breaks. There are times where I just want to go away and I want to completely unplug. I did it for a month a couple of years ago. I spent the entire month of August traveling around the United States. I put my cell phone away. I had a burner phone where I couldn't get any apps, just phone calls for emergencies. And I completely unplugged. It's important to do that for your mental health. Some people don't need to. I personally came back way more refreshed.
All right, Mish, I think time is running out. Maybe you can mention your website and where people can go to. We've already mentioned the Art Market Minute on social, X and LinkedIn. Maybe you can mention your website, your live trading room, and any resource that people can tap into.
Well, you should see the words market gauge above my head.
Market Gauge, yeah.
Yes.
So marketgauge.com.
.com, right? That's our major website. From there, you can get my blog. You can see my Twitter feed. You can get other content from Keith and Jeff. You can look at our tools and our products and some of our trading models. And my media clips are up there. If you want to talk to me directly on X, it's at Market Minute, as you mentioned. And as I mentioned before, if you want to mentor with me personally for a small fee, it's slice-app.io, and then find me, Mish Schneider, on there. So those are the key places right now.
Thank you so much. Joseph and Nabin will save your questions for the next time, but you can tell her thank you.
Hi, Joseph.
Evening.
We have like
Mish.
1 minute.
Mish,
Yes, dear.
I would like you to tell me the indicator that you are using down there.
Say this again?
Hello?
The indicator you're using
At the bottom of the chart. There are two indicators down there, and maybe probably they are parameters.
Okay. Sylvia, can you repeat his question for me, please?
I think you mentioned you use the 50 SMA and the 200 moving average. So those are the two indicators. Yeah.
Yes, primarily.
The same down there.
Yeah. What you see
at the bottom of the chart.
The bottom of the chart, these are what we call leadership triple play indicators. It tells us how the instrument is doing against the benchmark, which would be the S&P 500. And this one down here is the momentum. So this is also the 50 and the 200 day. So we're looking at the chart of transportation. You can see the momentum is doing great. It's starting to outperform the S&P 500, and the price has cleared all the moving averages. So yes, that is very consistent.
Very good.
Thank you, Mish. Love and thanks to you all. Thank you so much. I'm so privileged to have you. Till next time, goodbye.
The same, very privileged and honored to be a part of your life now and your platform. Thank you.
All right, cheers. Bye.
Bye.
I'll chat you on WhatsApp.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.